This is what 4 months of detailing revenue looks like from zero in September from just one of my payment processors. Now, I've been detailing cars since I was 12 years old. I scaled my first business past $10,000 a month by 18, and last September, I completely rebuilt a fresh one from zero just to prove the playbook still works in 2026. And in just 120 days, that business broke $20,000 a month, and all I did was follow a simple 5-step roadmap that every single detailer pulling in over $20,000 a month relies on. So if you want to start a detailing business this year and clear $20,000 inside your first quarter, you might want to pay attention because I'm about to break down these 5 things are and how to install them as soon as today. All right, let's start with level 1. This is your brand identity. And your brand identity is where most new detailers either set themselves up to pull in premium buyers for the next 12 months or get stuck cleaning Toyotas for $80. Now, when I say brand identity, I'm not talking about some clean logo or cool name inside of your truck. What I mean is everything a wealthy buyer sees about you in the first 5 seconds before they ever pick up the phone. See, most detailers pick a name, they slap a logo on a shirt, they start handing out flyers, business cards, hoping someone with money calls. But the buyer with a Lamborghini doesn't decide based off what your t-shirt says. He decides based off what he sees on your 3 storefronts before he ever dials. And by storefronts, I mean the only 3 places he checks: your website, your Instagram page, and your Google business profile. Every one of these 3 things is selling him on trusting you with his car before you ever speak a word with him. So how do you build all 3 of these from zero? For instance, if you target Toyotas because Toyotas are parked on the block, you're speaking to the wrong buyer for the next 12 months and you'll never crack even a $10,000 a month grinding $80 details on Toyota sedans. Second, you stack 3 storefronts to read as one brand. Your website loads in under 2 seconds with a Ferrari above the fold as the homepage. Your Instagram feed shoots every car from the same angle, so your page reads as a curated showroom where you can showcase your work. And your Google business should list every service and keyword that you want it to rank for. So when you stack high quality reviews consistently and respond to every review with SEO focused replies packed with your location and service and keywords, you can literally use ChatGPT to help write those responses. And you pair that with Google posts. Google now has a reason to rank you as the #1 guy down your street within the first 30 days because all the other detailers who aren't doing this, they're not going to be ranking like you are. Third, you name your packages like a transformation and not a list of tasks. I don't want to hear the standard diamond detail. Your top tier package shouldn't be called the premium detail. It should sound branded and memorable, something people associate your business with. For example, in my business, I lean into my branding and I call it the fanatical detail. It instantly sounds more exclusive, recognizable, and different than every other detailer using the same generic package names. And that matters because the wrong premium attracts hagglers. Every cheap shop or mobile detailer in the country calls himself premium. But when you start focusing on your brand or calling it like the showroom shine, which focuses on the outcome and feeling, the client instantly pictures their car looking brand new again, and that's what you want. That one shift alone positions your top package above $400 before you even quoted the job. Now, brand identity pulls the right buyer to your phone. But the second he calls back asking what's included, your back end better be ready. Because if you built it the way 95% of new detailers built theirs, you would be lucky to get past $3,000 a month. So that brings us to level 2, infrastructure. Infrastructure is the back end you never see from the outside, but it decides whether the call ends up in a booking or a hang up. And there are 2 pieces here, your CRM and your profit tracking. Your CRM holds every lead, every booking, and every follow-up in one place, while your profit tracking tells you the dollar margin on every service you sell. The CRM is the biggest lever, so let's start there. Most detailers don't have a CRM. They run everything manually, text on a personal phone, leads scribbled on a notepad or Google Sheet, follow-ups they hope they'll remember 3 days later. That's why most of them never crack over a $3,000 month. But the CRM closes that leak. Every meta lead, Google lead, QR code scan, and website opt-in lands in one inbox the second it comes in. And Google actually ran a study on this. When you call a lead within 5 minutes, it actually converts at a 3 times rate of a lead that's called an hour later. So that proves that speed is the biggest unlock new detailers leave on the table. Inside the CRM, every lead lives in a stage. New lead, call attempt 1 through 17, on the fence, callback scheduled, sales inspection booked, high priority. You also get your own business line through your CRM, separate from your personal phone, so the work calls and family calls stop sharing the same inbox. And the moment you're ready to step off the phone, you drop a sales rep right into this exact pipeline. He runs the same stages without losing a single lead when you hand it off. And that's how you duplicate yourself. Now, when it comes into profit tracking, most detailers run their business based off what they feel, which just makes them feel more busy. That's not what you want. The detailers pulling in $20,000 in 120 days run it off a sheet. You build a profit and loss sheet that breaks down every service by gross revenue, product cost, labor cost, and net margin per job. So you know down to the dollar what packages makes you what, and you're not just guessing. And once you can see the margin per service, you stop guessing which package to push and you start running the math. That's level 2. Now, with your brand identity pulling in the right buyers and your infrastructure ready to capture and track them, the only thing missing is volume. Your phone still has to ring. The reason your first 90 days swing between dead air and 2 calls a week is one channel: word of mouth. And word of mouth is a coin flip new detailers keep paying rent for years on. So that brings us to level 3. Now, new detailers breaking through $20,000 months in just 120 day run 6 channels stacked together, all pointing to the same wealthy buyer in a specific order. First is the Google business profile with daily posts, photos uploaded weekly, and every review answered with location keywords inside of your reply, because that's what makes Google rank you above 40 detailers in your zip code for the car detailing near me search. It's literally free, and 95% of detailers set one up and they never touch it again. That's the problem. Second is local service ads on Google. You only pay per qualified lead, and setup takes under 30 minutes. One good example for this is my client Sandy. Last year, he ran this local service ad with me and spent only $230 in a month and pulled in over $8,000 in revenue that same month, which is roughly $35 for every dollar he spent through Google. And the reason this worked is because of the ad ecosystem was feeding the front end of Sandy's business after he already locked in level 1 and 2, which is pretty wild if you think about it, but that's what stacking everything properly can actually do. Third, meta ads, where the creative itself filters the bio with what you say. Because if you say luxury car owners, you're going to be in front of luxury car owners and repel hagglers before they even could want to opt in. So now your phone rings from people who searched on Google, people who scrolled on Instagram and saw your ad. The next channel rings the doorbell of buyers who never opened their phone. Fourth, door hangers in wealthy zip codes. If you spend $50 and get 500 of these with $100 off your first detail on the back and drop them in wealthy zip codes, and you can only close a few of them, you will make so much money on that $50 investment. So think about that for a second. The next channel puts you in their hand from someone they already trust. That is the 5th. Partners with country clubs, gyms, auto body shops, tin shops, high-end coffee bars, places wealthy people hang out. You put 10 of these flyers in the right country club lobby, that beats thousands of impressions on Facebook. And once you have all 5 channels feeding leads into the same pipeline, the same CRM, the last move is what decides whether you book them or watch them just call your competitor. 6, speed to lead. Now, I've already told you about the Google study, but if you can beat your competitors about how fast they're replying, you'll win over how many leads anyone gets. And what all this means, by your 4th Monday from launch, 4 qualified leads hit your phone before noon, week after week. So far, we've stacked brand identity to pull in the right buyer, infrastructure to capture and track them, acquisition so 4 leads land your 4th Monday before noon. But all that creates is a new problem, which is those leads still need to be called and closed. That's level 4. But before we get into it, if you find this video valuable so far, let me know by hitting the like button below and make sure to subscribe to not miss any future videos just like this. This is a layer where leads turn into bookings, bookings turn into high-ticket jobs, and one-time customers turn into lifelong lasting customers that come back month after month. This first half is sales. Now typically, a detailing call ends in 8 seconds where the detailer answers the phone, tells them the price, the prospect says he's gonna think about it, and the deal walks. But you can easily avoid that if you know which moves to do in the right order. The first move is rapport. And this is where you get his name, because the second buyer hears his own name on the line, the call stops feeling like a quote machine, and his guard drops. Second move, discovery. Here, you essentially ask what the car looks like, whether anything's giving him trouble. He tells you whatever happened makes him want to call, like his kid spilled juice in the backseat last week, his wife's birthday is on Saturday, whatever it is. That's the real reason behind the call. And now you just have to sell against it, which drastically increases the chances of you closing that deal. Now the third move is a little bit more special, and that is the 1 to 10 condition close. And what that essentially is before you give him any number, you ask him to rate his own car on a 1 to 10. 10 being brand new, fresh off the lot, 1 being disgusting, crashed into a tree. And even that makes him laugh and lower sales resistance. Now what I've realized is most people will say 7 because nobody wants to admit their car is a mess and nobody wants to claim it's brand new either. So they land in the middle. And that 7 is what allows you to recommend the second most expensive package. You tell him, with that being said, on a 7, what I personally recommend is my second tier. For instance, I would say Fanatical Detail. If he pushes for something cheaper, easy downsell without losing the job. But if you show up and the car is way worse than he said, you literally have a justified upsell waiting in the driveway. And that brings us to the fourth move, the price. Now, you always want to drop the price after the recommendation, not before. So you have the whole situation in your hand. Because by now, he heard his own name, told you his situation, rated the car himself, and tied your second tier directly to it. And so the pitch is just a delivery. The price reads as the cost of the recommendation tied to his own answer. And then lastly, the fifth move is objective isolation, but if you did this right, you won't have many. Now the most common one is, oh, I just need to think about it, talk to the boss, talk to my wife. But that phrase is almost never a real objection. It's just a smokescreen on top of a specific thing he's not 100% sure about. So you ask him, is there something specific you want to talk to your wife about? Is there something specific you want to think about? And if he says the price, you work on it. If it's a genuine question, you also can just answer it. So you offer to lock it in, and just like that, an 8-second hang up turns into a $400 detail booking. Now, once level 4 is dialed, the only question you're asking yourself is not if you should hire, but when you should hire. But guess what? If you do this right, you will be forced to hire because the business is printing and you don't have the hands to deliver it alone. You could only do so much yourself, which brings us to level 5, which is hiring. The main goal should be building a team you can trust to deliver at your standard on a training method that takes the work off your plate instead of adding to it. And the first thing you do before any hire is make SOPs. And what I mean by that is a standard operating procedure, an in-depth checklist for every service, every role that lives on a technician's phone through Notion organized. So whether it's an interior detail, exterior detail, ceramic coating, sales call, customer service, the procedure is right in front of his face on the driveway, which means there's no excuse for them to miss something or go under your standard and deliver something you wouldn't. Once that's locked in, the way you actually bring people in is through this 4-step hiring process: Google Form, triage call, Google Meet, and 3-day training process. The Google Form is qualifying application filled with strategic questions that filter out anyone who can't follow basic instructions. Those people you don't want to work with. So if the form asks them for a make, model of the car and they don't say it, disqualified. Then for the qualified ones, you have a triage call. And that's just a quick read whether the person sounds presentable or not. If they are, you go to the Google Meet, which is your last filter before you waste or spend any real time with someone in person. Because by then, you can have a very good prospect that's ready to train with no time being wasted. You've already saved yourself from wasting an afternoon on a candidate who is never going to make it. Now, the 3-day training process is where you actually find out if the person's worth keeping or you just move to the next guy. Day 1 is interior only, where you teach them every trick on the inside of the car, then make them do the whole car themselves. Day 2, you cover exterior only, so the wash, wheels, clay bar, all of it. And day 3 is the full inside and out, where he runs the entire job alone and you just watch. But the whole point of these 3 days isn't to teach someone how to detail. It's to find and look for one trait. That's coachability. Because you can't train coachability, but you can train detailing. And once you've got a good one trained up, you don't keep training new hires personally. That's where the buddy system comes in. Every new hire goes to your lead technician instead of you, allowing you to have more freedom. So your lead trains them. You train the lead once, and that's the move that allows you to start scaling and take so much off of your shoulders. And the last piece of this level is paying, because how you pay them decides whether they're clocking hours or genuinely competing on behaviors that build up your business and brand. Now, the standard commission sits at 25%, but if a technician brings his own client in, jump that to 35%. Show him empathy, so they have a real reason to talk to their friends and family and bring in more business. And on top of that, you stack bonuses for reviews, for the best content captured on the job, and whoever pulls the most money in upsells, so they're constantly competing with each other to help grow the business. That's a good team. And once the hire system is dialed, the rest just becomes delegation. A sales rep to hop on the phones and remove yourself. A VA to handle admin, unpaid invoices, payments, and customer service. So you drop down to about 3 hours a week of management where your business runs completely without you. That's level 5. Now, knowing the roadmap is the easy part, but running it every single day is the hard part that decides whether you win or lose. And that mentality is the reason most detailers never even get close to $20,000 a month. So watch this video next, where I walk you through every step of this exact system from zero so you can install it inside of your own business this week.